The Deputy Defence Minister, Bantu Holomisa, has today assessed the state of one military hospital in Tshwane. Now, this follows the Joint Standing Committee on Defence's oversight visit there just earlier this year as well. That visit by committee members revealed that some sections of the hospital are in a deplorable, unusable state. Let's unpack the story with Nicholas Gotsell. He's a DA NCOP member on the Select Committee on Security and Justice. Nicholas, thanks for your time. I mean, the reports are incredibly worrying, and they have been for some time. Just the amount of money that's been spent on one military hospital, but it remains largely non-operational. And I'm talking in excess of R1 billion over the past 25 years.
Yes, that's correct. We've been asking questions for a long time. I personally posed a question to the Minister of Defence last year in an oral question session in the NCOP. At the time, she said to me that she had just visited the hospital and saw nothing wrong.
Sorry, when was that, Nicholas?
That was at the end of last year, just after she had become the minister. And I had sent her a letter, and I'd issued a press statement to invite her on a walkabout. But of course, she didn't accept. But by April this year, when we did our oversight, I think they had realized that they cannot hide anymore. I think it's interesting that the minister has now palmed it off to the deputy minister. But the reality is that the first and the second floors remain completely gutted. There's nothing there. It's rubble, and people are sitting in very long queues waiting for medication from, 50, 60-year-old pharmacy.
So, Bantu Holomisa, the Deputy Minister, was there this morning and had a discussion with our reporter. Part of what he said and part of the sort of explanation that he's given about the state of one military hospital is around funding of the SANDF. What's your reply to that?
Yes, of course. So, the rot began when billions of rands were pumped into a so-called refurbishment program. Now, we're talking 25 years ago. It was called the 10 million rand or 10 billion rand repair and maintenance project. The abbreviation for that was RAMP. And quite ironically, in Afrikaans, it's RAMP, which means catastrophe. Now, 25 years later, there's nothing to be shown. And the question is, what has happened to the money? And every time there is an inquiry as to the state of one military hospital, we are told they don't have money. However, the Department of Defence itself very often gets very upset with us when we ask them about their expenditure. So you will recall that the minister recently missed a briefing to the Joint Standing Committee on Defence on the returning DRC troops. And her reason why she was not there is because she was at a military parade in Russia. Now, we are worried about the priorities of this department. If they say they want money, then of course one must look at where you can find the money, because you can't just let an institution like this fall apart. I mean, they don't have radiology units, they don't have a pharmacy, they don't have emergency theatres, and that means that they are outsourcing everything, which costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. So the question is simple, right? The 1 billion rand that has been spent over 25 years, what do we have to show for it?
Nothing. I think perhaps there were other parts of the hospital that have been attended to, but the important parts, the theatres, the pharmacy, that is completely gutted. We were taken up to some of the higher floors in the building that were functional, and one of them, I think quite high up, was revamped. So that has been done, but those are normal rooms. These are not the surgeries and the areas where you would require real new state-of-the-art facilities that could look after our men and women who serve, and also perhaps even using it as an academic hospital.
So the Deputy Minister, also saying that renovations to the hospital stopped because of so-called questionable transactions. I think that's fair to say. There have been questionable transactions over a period of more than 2 decades. Where is the SIU on its investigations?
So the SIU came to brief us in the Joint Standing Committee on Defence a few weeks ago. We've asked some hard questions, but of course the answers are never straightforward. The DA has written to the Minister of Police to ask for a proper timeline on these investigations. Unfortunately, as with any other big investigations, we are very often told that they cannot provide timelines.
The Minister of Police, who is currently on special leave?
That Minister of Police, yes.
So in a context where the Deputy Defence Minister says, we need to upgrade the hospital, it needs to be refurbished, does that mean an additional sort of add-on few million to the billion already spent?
Well, last year, there was extra money allocated to the Department of Defence over and above their previous year's budget. 813 million rand was allocated for compensation. Now, you will know that currently there is a dispute between members of the SANDF, especially those who have just returned from the DRC, about their payment. A few weeks ago, we were briefed, as I said earlier, about their return to South Africa. And I'd asked the SANDF whether they are going to pay months-long outstanding allowances to the troops. And they told us that these monies were all kept back here in South Africa because they act as a welfare officer. Now, when they returned, these monies weren't paid out to them immediately. And that raises serious questions. The Department of Defence is in such financial distress. We hardly have any operational ships, frigates, submarines, aircraft. And you'll also recall that very recently the Minister of Defence refused to accept that when we asked her whether she would be prepared to have the President fly commercially. They have a shortfall of 415 million rand for the presidential BBJ and the Falcon fleet, which is the fleet that has the VIP aircraft. And she was not prepared to give an undertaking that they would do anything to save costs so that we can focus on the real important areas in the Defence Force. So there are serious questions about the department's priorities. If we give them the money to fix the hospital, is it going to fix the hospital?
Yeah, but I mean, how do you pump more money into a project that's already been given so much investment and with so little to show for it? Surely we need answers. It's a difficult line, I suppose, isn't it? We need answers on the past 25 years and the past billion rand, but we also need one military hospital to actually be up and running, because in any event, we're spending additional money on outsourcing important procedures.
Yes, we can't keep the people who rely on one military to offer services from getting those services, especially in a situation where, you have troops returning from the DRC, they've served their country, they return without limbs or severely injured. But it is a fine line. And I think what we've learned in the past year is that the Minister of Defence is not up to the job. She's not there to prioritize. Her priorities lie with parades in Russia and buying brand new Audi Q7s for her generals. That's where their priorities lie.
Really difficult, and it's a discussion we've been having on the SANDF and the state of the defence for some time now. Nicholas Gotsell, let me thank you for your take on this issue. He's a DA NCOP member on the Select Committee on Security and Justice.